If you're into cars and are worried about how the sports and performance models might fare in our all-electric future, then it's cars like this, the new Audi e-tron GT, that should put some of those apprehensions to bed. It's fair to say that car enthusiasts haven't exactly been spoilt for choice when it comes to electric cars. Most EVs are practical, sensible, and not all that exciting, especially if you're used to driving around sports cars with great big petrol engines. But it's cars like this new Audi that are going to be turning petrol heads into what heads? But anyway, I'm so excited to show you what it's like. And speaking of likes, if you fancy it, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the Driving Electric YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos go live. You've probably already heard the term e-tron as part of the Audi range. The Audi e-tron electric SUV was released a couple of years ago, but this is the e-tron GT. Those two extra letters stand for Grand Tourer. This is a four-door saloon car cum coupe with a pair of punchy electric motors. That means it has four-wheel drive and, as you'd expect from a range-topping sports car, it's a monster in a straight line. It has a 93 kilowatt-hour battery and the motors put out a combined 469 brake horsepower, which is enough for a 0 to 62 mph time of just 4.1 seconds. There's even an RS model with 590 brake horsepower if you want something even faster. The official range of the model most will go for, and the one we've got here, is 298 miles on a charge. We managed an average of 2.7 to 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour on our test, which works out at a real-world range of about 240 miles. Use all that performance, however, and you won't come close to either of those figures. The e-tron GT is a rival for the Tesla Model S and the Porsche Taycan, and like those cars, costs around £80,000. But that's just the start. This Vorsprung trim level we have here costs over £100,000. If you're in the market for one of those, then you might notice some similarities between the Audi and the Porsche, and that's because they use the same technology underneath the metal. But in reality, they're pretty different, especially with how they look. The Audi has this dramatic front end with distinctive headlights, vents in front of the wheels, and a wide grille at the front. Porsche, on the other hand, has embraced its electric future and done away with the grille completely. You've then got the Audi's low bonnet and swooping roofline, which is playing a bit of visual trickery because it's really a saloon car that's pretending to be a coupe. Look, it's got four doors, just like its rivals. Scorching charging speeds are the norm at the upper end of the electric car market now, but it's still impressive to see that the e-tron's maximum charge speed is 270 kilowatts, more than 5 times what you'll get out of something like a mini electric. That means the e-tron GT can take on a 10 to 80% charge in just 23 minutes, from a fast enough public charger at least. For context, you can boost the Audi's range from 30 miles to 238 miles in the time it takes to fill up a petrol car, buy a snack and pop to the loo. Finding a charger capable of this isn't so straightforward though, but it won't be long before there are plenty of these around Britain. And for now, you could settle for a 150 kilowatt charger, which will add the same amount of charge in around half an hour. Charging at home is as easy as with any electric car, but bear in mind that the big battery takes quite a while to top up. A 7.4 kilowatt home wall box will take it from empty to full in 13.5 hours. The e-tron GT I'm sitting in now is the 469 brake horsepower version, which in this new world of insanely fast EVs is actually the less powerful model. Both e-trons have supercar beating acceleration. This one will do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 4.1 seconds, which is definitely fast. And if you want to go faster, the RS version will do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.3 seconds. So we know this four-wheel drive sporty coupe is fast, but how does it handle? Well, in a word, fantastic. The performance is easy to access because it comes in an instant. The steering wheel is nicely weighted and you have a good driving position. You sit nice and low in the car. There are different driving modes, including efficiency, comfort and dynamic, and these change the suspension and the throttle response. In comfort, it's really smooth even on rough roads. The car turns in really nicely without much body roll. In dynamic, it's even sharper and still just as comfortable. Regenerative brakes are a staple of EVs, but the setup feels weak in the Audi compared to some of its rivals. You certainly won't be able to drive the car just using the accelerator like you can on some cars. The conventional brakes have enough feel though, should you need to stop more suddenly. Elsewhere, there's so much technology at work here to make things easy for you. There's four-wheel steering to help with manoeuvrability at slow speeds, but it also makes it more stable on the motorway. There's an active spoiler at the back that pops up automatically when you're at higher speeds, and there's loads of assistance systems to help keep you and your family safe at all times. Unfortunately, for an 80 grand car, there's still quite a lot that you might want to add from the options list. You have to step up to a higher spec or pay extra for things like adaptive cruise control, a head-up display or a 360-degree camera, as well as safety systems like traffic sign recognition, stuff that's often standard on less expensive cars. The air suspension is optional on all but the top spec, but we'll forgive that one. Yet the e-tron GT is well equipped in other areas, with heated leather seats, smartphone connectivity, adaptive dampers, LED lights, a panoramic sunroof and 3-zone climate control, all coming as standard. Our Vorsprung test car also featured ventilated massage seats, matrix lights and four-wheel steering. All versions have this big 10.1-inch dashboard with a 12.3-inch virtual cockpit display behind the steering wheel. We've come to expect this double screen setup in new cars these days because it just works so well, with all the driving information you need in front of you while all the infotainment stuff is on the main screen. The system uses Audi's MMI Navigation Plus as standard, which means you get real-time traffic data as well as route suggestions based on previous trips. There's an app you can connect to where you can access a range of features from there too. It works well enough, but you also get smartphone connectivity, so there's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. The rest of the cabin is fantastic. It feels as upmarket as you'd want for a car at this price point, with high-end materials and a modern-looking design. We must mention though that some of the ergonomics are a bit off. These cup holders are useful, but tall bottles just get in the way, and this underarm cubby isn't quite big enough either. Climate controls can be accessed via these shortcut buttons, which is much more intuitive than hiding them in the screen's subsection somewhere. The Audi e-tron GT is a long way from the e-tron SUV it shares part of its name with when it comes to practicality. The boot measures 405 litres, which is a bit more than you get in a Taycan, although the total drops to 350 litres in the RS version, which is less than the Porsche. In reality though, the saloon-style opening means it's not that easy to get bigger items in and out. Fine for something like bags or suitcases, but you'll have to do a bit of Tetris juggling if you're packing for a weekend away. There's another 80 odd litres under the bonnet though, which is a good spot for the charging cables or a small bag. There's not a massive amount of space in the back of the e-tron GT either, mainly because of the sleek shape and sloping roofline. If you're in the market for a high-end electric car, then your choices are still pretty limited, but your options are increasing all the time. And this new e-tron GT is up there with the best. It's better built and more fun to drive than the Tesla Model S, and it also rivals the Porsche Taycan for performance, handling and luxury. As for desirability, well, just look at it. Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric car advice, news and reviews. And check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the Driving Electric YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified when a new video goes live.